I love this. All right. Hello, delegates. How's everybody doing? Nice to get up, stretch around a little. Nice to see everybody. It's so great to be here and stand up here on this giant podium, which is amazing. I was like, why does everybody look so tall when they're up on the stage? Now I know. If you don't know, there is a little step here that makes me look exceptionally tall. And I always tell people that I'm tall on the inside. You just can't see it. Now I actually feel really tall, so it makes me feel extra awesome. So I want to start us off in a good way. I know the land was acknowledged this morning and when you started convention and all of that, but I think it's important as part of my commitment as the president of your Federation of Labor, to recommit every time that we come together to do good work and do it in a good way and do it in a way that takes reconciliation to heart and to mind truly. And so the bare minimum, of course, is acknowledging the land that we're on, the unceded and traditional territories of the people who were here for time immemorial, long before settlers, like many of us in the room, families ever showed up here on these shores, and of the people here on this land, Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. And also I'd like to acknowledge the land where I live. I live in a beautiful place, which is unceded traditional territory, the Kakite First Nation. I know many of you live there also. And that is what is very colonially known as New Westminster. And I'm very fortunate to live there and to be able to, work and live on those lands. So as you know, the Federation, you may know, Federation has a reconciliation plan, and we do a lot of work with our Indigenous caucus, as well as a working group that we have to make sure that we're evolving through our commitment to reconciliation to do that and continue to move through that as an organization. So I'm also proud to be here today with Secretary Treasurer Harminder Singh Cayley. I know he's at the back of the room. I know he was with you last night for your hot debate, so I'm sorry I missed that. I had another commitment last night, but super honored to bring greetings on behalf of 500,000 workers from across this province, from all of the different affiliated unions in the BC Federation of Labor. And it's a delight to be able to be here with all of you, to be able to bring solidarity, and thank you for all that you do, all that your union does and our movement. You literally are everywhere. Everywhere I show up, there are MoveUP folks on the line and, supporting workers out, picket lines and door knocking and all those things. And, when I heard the theme of your convention, which, as you know, is building our future together, I thought, yep, that sounds about right. That sounds just like MoveUP, our future together, which is so important. Those words are what true solidarity means, and that is what makes our movement strong. It's folks like you who've come together, not just this weekend or this week, and not just, for union meetings and all of that, but every day you sacrifice a little bit from your families and your home lives to be union activists, to make sure that the world is a better place for not just your union members, but for working people all across this province. So, that is truly an honor of mine to get to stand up here and talk to you. Also, so lucky to be able to count on the strong leadership of your union. Annette and Brenda, the whole executive I see has joined me here on the stage, which is awesome. And all of you, activists across our province. We have at the Federation of Labor, we count on all of you. We count on you every single day, whether it's on our committees, whether it's our working groups, our caucuses, to make sure that we're advancing our movement and that we're pushing for better from government, from leaders, and from our country. And it'd be hard-pressed to find a strike or a rally or anything that happens in BC without finding an activist or a MoveUP member. Lots of faces in this room are familiar. I've seen some of you in different places throughout the week, IBEW events, at my office, the BC Federation of Labor, and outdoor knocking and supporting different community events. So it's nice to see you all here and be able to take part in some of your convention. I also know that the impact that you do and the fight that you do for your members, is second to none. That MoveUP is second to none, making sure their members are supported and are able to, live the lives that you do because you're in a union. I've heard lots about different work sites, ICBC, BC Hydro. We had folks out on the line supporting folks at Capilano. I can't list them all because I will miss somebody and you'll be like, hey, you forgot my work site. But I know your members are everywhere. And the support that, not only your members receive on the lines from other unions, but the support that you give other unions when they're on the line, that's critical. And we see that time again, and it's inspiring. Like I said, I can personally attest to how great your membership is. We have, you may know, so at the BC Federation of Labor, all of our administrative staff are MoveUP members. We also have the BC Centre for Women in Trades. I know you've seen and heard from Alicia this week. And then, of course, we also have the BC Fed Occupational Health and Safety Centre. So there are a lot of MoveUP members in our office that you might not know about. Sorry? Admin staff, I'm getting corrected, but I know. So we have steelworkers staff who do our directors and coordinators and all of that, but all of our administrative assistants, all of our accounting folks, all of that, they're actually MoveUP. They're your members, so. Time for a worksite visit again. I know Annette was wherever Annette is. Wherever Annette is out there she is in the back with Lily, was just in last week chatting with members and in our new office and getting to know some of our there's some new faces in there, so it's great to have you in there and great to have such awesome staff. I know that when your union stands up for workers, we win victories, and that is a big deal. When, you raise wages and benefits and get collective agreements, it doesn't just improve those things for just your members, it improves things for people all across British Columbia. And what you do as a union is you send a message to workers like your members and workers who don't have the benefit of being in a union yet, that you're fighting for them, and that's really important. You're telling them that something better is possible, that coming together and organizing works, and that they are stronger and their lives are better when they belong to a union, and your union does that very well. So for everything you do, whether it's at the bargaining table, on the shop floor, on the streets, or in meeting rooms, and in communities all throughout BC, thank you. And working people need that spirit of solidarity right now. You've heard over and over again all of the different resolutions. People are coming and telling their stories about how tough times are, and that people are struggling, and we know that across the province. Cost of paying for just essential things keeps rising. Finding a home that a person can afford is, harder and harder to do anywhere in BC. And of course, the services that people rely on, some of the services that you deliver, are often hard to get for people. And that's why it's so important that unions are here for our members, for our workers, who don't yet have the benefit of being in a great union like yours. Because unions get results. We stand together with a united voice, that's when we win, and that's important, and working people win. Especially when we have a government that listens to us. So like Stefan, no surprise to anyone in this room, I'm gonna get a little political, I can't help myself, it's what I do. It's what you elected me for. Having a government, the kind of government that we've had for the past 7 years in this province, whether it was under John Horgan or now Premier Eby, we know that those doors are open to us. And they're not perfect. We don't get everything we want. If we did, we'd live in utopia. But we have gotten a lot of things. And we've gotten those things because of solidarity, because of the hard fight of union members like you, and the strong fight for people who are working hard across this province. And it's important to recognize those victories, and they wouldn't have happened without union members like you. So the first one I want to talk about is paid sick leave. That was a huge win for people in British Columbia. You can clap. Please clap for paid sick leave. We want more. We know that when working people have to make the choice between paying their bills, feeding their kids, buying groceries, and staying home sick, they're always going to choose feeding their kids. But because we have paid sick leave here in British Columbia, folks have the ability to make those changes. Now, not everyone's covered under paid sick leave, so we have some more fight there. But we also have card check. I know that's benefited your union. You've done some great organizing. what government calls single-step certification. We're always going to probably call it card check. I might change in about 10 years or so. But, you know, we know that when workers come together and they say they want to join a union, they should be able to do that, and they shouldn't have to be asked twice to do that. They should be able to come together and join an awesome union like yours or any other union in this province and, you know, not have to be terrorized by their employer when they do that. Another historic investment in expanding childcare and making it affordable. You know how much that saves money for families? I was talking to some friends who have a toddler and, you know, blue-collar, working-class folks, they have a toddler in childcare. It saves them up to $900 a month. That's a huge difference for people, and that's a big win for British Columbians. So, you know, other things like the, you know, return of the trade certification. I like to tell this story because people are kind of always boggled by it. But in British Columbia in the early 2000s, the Liberals, the Conservatives, the Socrats, whatever they want to call themselves, they gutted the trades training system. It was shameful. People lost their jobs, and anyone could come in and do any work they wanted without having to have any kind of Red Seal certification, no qualifications. So you could have an electrician come into your house who had no formal training, and they could just be like, yeah, I'm an electrician because I said so. Not, I don't have any training, I don't have any qualifications. And that's a system that's broken, and most people didn't actually know that, right? If you say you're an electrician, you assume that person's an electrician, and they're wiring your house, right? You want that person to be qualified. You want that person to have proper training. And so bringing back the trades training and the Red Seal in this province made a huge difference. My son is a Red Seal heavy-duty mechanic, and trades jobs are good jobs. And we need to make sure that those people have the training that they deserve and the respect that they deserve in the work that they do as well, because those things make a huge difference. That is a big win. While you were just talking about provincial minimum wage, how convenient. You know, it is now indexed to inflation in British Columbia, so that the most vulnerable people in this province do not lose ground. Right? I mean, that's the bare minimum, and that we have that here in BC. It is not, you don't see that everywhere across the country. We've seen big changes in workers' compensation, long-awaited changes, and some of them are still rolling out, and some of it is undoing all of the damage that was done of 17 long years of Christy Clark and Gordon Campbell and John Rustad, quite frankly, you know, trying to dismantle the system, the historic compromise that workers gave up the rights to sue their employers by having this workers' compensation system. There have been huge changes there. There are more to come, and we're going to keep pushing on that one for sure. We had anti-racism legislation happen in this province, which is huge. There's a gender-based violence action plan, the return of the Human Rights Commission, and an action to combat hate. There has been historic action on reconciliation, including the Declaration Action Plan, and amazing things like the Haida title, just for example. You know, we talk about the Haida title, and I know that, like, if you're not from the area, you might not actually understand, but having that certainty for everyone who lives there makes life better, makes life easier, and is true to reconciliation, which we're committed to here in British Columbia. We've made some real gains, and we've made a really big difference in people's lives, and that happens, like I said, because of all of you, because the solidarity that we have together in the labor movement. It happens because every day working people come together and say, I want to live in a certain type of place. I want British Columbia to have the same types of values that my union does and that I do as an activist. There's lots left to do. I wake up every day looking at my long list. I say, okay, what are we doing today? Because the list is long, because we need to keep making life better for British Columbians. We have to keep moving forward for the sake of everyone here. We've got big changes in the labor code so that working people have full access to their charter rights to collectively bargain, as you all do, and reach good collective agreements. Because when we know that when it comes to lifting people out of poverty, when it comes to renewing the middle class, when it comes to building a future for your family, there's no social program, there's no tax policy, and there's no economic wizardry more effective than joining a union. So we're pressing for improvements for employment standards, stronger protections, no more loopholes, and no more exclusions. and a new and bigger mandate for the branch. It's time to start preventing and actively investigating employment standards breaches instead of just waiting for things to happen. We're also pushing for a truly visionary 10-year plan to connect all of British Columbia with public transit, and your folks have been key in those conversations. We can create thousands of jobs building and operating the kind of public transit network that working families in this province deserve from every part of this province. We're pushing to close the gap between the minimum wage and living wage. We're going to always keep pushing for that. We're pushing for better services, better schools, and better health care. We're also pushing, in short, for a better deal for working people, because we need to keep moving forward. Working people need to keep moving forward. The very last thing that we need is to see all of the progress that we've made together, all the victories that we've won, rolled back by the Conservatives. We know all too well what happens if they get back into power. And I can tell you my own story. In the early 2000s, I was one of those workers who lost their job when Gordon Campbell decided that public service was not something British Columbians should do. It is shameful. And hundreds of workers across this province lost their jobs, and it has taken decades to build back this province and build back the strong public services that you all, many of you, deliver to the people across British Columbia, and we cannot let that happen again, because we know all too well what happens if they get back into power. They'll get right back to doing what they do best, and that's making things worse for workers in British Columbia, because it's what they always do. No matter what they call themselves this week, Conservatives, BC Liberals, BC United, when you peel off the label, when you look under the hood, they're still the party that's going to make things worse for British Columbians. You give them a chance, and they'll slash and privatize healthcare, public services, Crown corporations, ICBC, and BC Hydro, because it's what they always do. They'll fire public sector workers in staggering numbers, because it's what they always do. They'll cut services that you rely on. They'll cut taxes for their wealthy friends, because it is what they always do. They'll roll back all of the improvements that we've made in employment standards, workers' compensation, and the labor court, because it's what they always do. They make things worse. And this time, they're getting ready to make things a lot worse, because this is something we haven't seen in BC, a right wing that sounds a lot more like Donald Trump than I ever imagined, more than anything we've ever heard in this province before. Led by John Rustad, who I ran against in 2013, just for a little history, a politician who I will tell you personally does not believe in climate change. A politician who cozies up to extremists like Jordan Peterson, a politician who embraces conspiracy theories and people who are spreading fear and misinformation and hate. He had one candidate saying that 5G is a genocidal weapon, another who supported a grown man who bullied a 9-year-old to tears in the Okanagan at a track meet. I don't know if you heard about that story, but it was atrocious and horrifying, demanding that this child prove their gender. Shameful. Absolutely disgusting. And I will say this, the guy who sides with bullies and fearmongers, the guy isn't going to side with you. The guy who spent years as an enthusiastic Christy Clark cabinet minister, that guy isn't going to side with you. The guy whose government record was driving up car insurance bills, hydro bills, tuition bills, attacking unions, watering down workplace safety, and tilting the scales in favor of big corporations and the wealthiest of the wealthiest. That guy, John Rustad, is not going to side with you. But he is going to count on you for getting all of that, for getting the cuts, the privatization, and all the reasons you sent Mr. Rustad's government packing in the first place. Well, I'm not going to forget, are you? No. Oh, let's hear that a little louder. Are you going to forget? No. No, that's right. Are you going to forget 17 long years of attacks on working people? No. And are you going to let them take us back? No. Thank you. That's why we cannot let the make it worse people back into power. We had to live through what the Make It Worse party have to offer for 16 years, and we are not going back. And the way that we keep that from happening is with good old-fashioned organizing and hard work. It's how we win at the bargaining table, and it's how we win on the picket line, and it's how we're going to win on the ballot. in October, because the other side will always have money. They'll have rich, powerful voices pulling out all the stops to get them elected, along with the lobbyists and the corporate pundits cheering them on. You see that if you're on Twitter, and if you're not on Twitter, please stay off of it. It's not healthy. We don't have that, and that's okay, because what we do have are people. We have our people, working people, everywhere in this province. We've seen so many times what happens when we come together, when we stand together. We've seen the power of solidarity at work again and again and again. And we've made the difference in elections before, whether they're at the provincial, municipal, or federal level. Working people make a difference, because that's what we have on our side, and it has proven to be more than a match for wealth and power. So what I'm asking you is to keep standing together, starting with this election. We need to pull out all the stops. We need to call your colleagues, your neighbors, your family, your friends, hit the phones, hit the doorstep, and help me re-elect David Eby and the BC NDP, because we need to keep pushing them to be the best government they possibly can be. We need to keep pushing for a better life for workers that we represent, the workers who are the reason this is such a great province to live in. We need to keep pushing for better jobs, better services, better communities, and a better future for all of BC. So help make sure that working people do not get left behind in this election. Thank you so much.